Can we just, for like 2 minutes, set the words of Jesus here next to all of the other ways of thinking about God and the divine and the afterlife? And just, can we just do that? Can we set this diamond on the table next to a bunch of lumps of coal and just honestly call this glorious beauty for what it is? Because all the other founders of every major world religion basically say this: here's the path that you must follow. Here's the way that you have to go if you want to get to nirvana or enlightenment or paradise or whatever. But Jesus doesn't say, here's the way. He says, I am the way. You see the difference? The founders of all the other religions point you to a path that you have to follow, and everything then depends on your own goodness. Like in Islam, in order to enter paradise, every human, everyone, even the good ones, have to walk across this bridge at the end of their life called the As-Sirat. And in the As-Sirat, you are, let me get the quote right, standing on a bridge as is thinner than a strand of hair and sharper than a knife or sword. And on your back are all the evil deeds that you've ever done that you haven't gotten rid of through the good things that you did to offset them. And man, you better hope you were good, because you're walking over a pit full of hellfire and people are reaching up trying to pull you down. And you're standing on a bridge that's thinner than hair and sharper than swords. And I'm like, what? And then Judaism, modern Judaism, says that everything is contingent upon your moral performance as measured against the laws of God. One rabbi says your redemption depends on you. Can you just imagine the lifelong torment that these religious systems create in the minds and hearts of people who know they aren't good enough to make it in? Can you also imagine the incredible smugness and self-righteousness and radicalness that this way of thinking creates in people who suppose they are good enough to get into God's presence on their own? That's insane. And Eastern religions do the same thing. What is Hinduism? It says you're a bug, then you're an untouchable, right? You're a poor outcast because you're being punished for your crummy life previously. So you better act right this time and hope that you get a better start the next time you're reincarnated until you're eventually liberated from this prison that we call life. Or take the last words of the Buddha. He said, listen, my monks, here's my last advice to you. Strive on untiringly. And that's how you attain salvation. So can you just picture that lump of coal next to this diamond? Strive on untiringly, the Buddha says. And Jesus looks at you from the cross and says, it is finished. I got you. I will take you home. I will take you home. Strive on untiringly. It's finished. Give me Jesus. Jesus says, whoever comes to me, I will never cast out. Which means you don't have to fear sinning your way out of God's grace, because you didn't earn your way into it in the first place. Jesus will take you home. He will do this, and only him. Only Jesus will do this. To drive home that point, Jesus said, nobody gets to the Father. Nobody goes home except through me. And the thing to understand about this is that's not my idea. That's Jesus's. And he's not being cruel. He's being truthful. There can be no other way to the God who is grace except by the grace of God himself. Do you understand this? Any other way of approaching God just shows we don't know the first thing about him. It's like we think he's like us and that his love has to be earned or something. But that's not who God is, and that isn't how grace works. And there can be no other foundation for your life in the presence of God than this. Jesus offered himself willingly in your place and in the place of anyone and everyone who sees their need and understands what he has offered. He has laid his life down as the penalty for our sins, to satisfy the justice of God, to fulfill the law on your behalf, to wash away the stains of your unrighteousness, to establish a perfect righteousness, to forgive you for your failures and cleanse you from your shame and bring you all the way home.